Okay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you this week, November the 24th through the 30th. You're looking at the subjunctive with doubt and denial. You want to study pages 337 to 340. At the end of this week, you should be able to form the subjunctive and dependent clauses following expressions of doubt, uncertainty, denial, and be able to recognize phrases that signal doubt, uncertainty, and denial. When that which is commented on is outside the speaker's experience, students should know to use the subjunctive mood. You should also be able to read two short texts on a travel experience and a famous Colombian singer and be able to answer short answer questions on what you've read. This will demonstrate your ability to read and comprehend short passages in Spanish. This week's assignments address student learning outcomes 1, 2, and 4. All the assignments are due on the 28th, which is Thanksgiving. So if you don't want to have work to do on Thanksgiving, I suggest you complete the assignments early. Be aware that Moodle is closing at 10 o'clock on the 26th, and it will be closed. It will be down all day the 27th. So you want to start this week like all others by looking at your instructor-made videos on the subjunctive with doubt and denial, and then you want to click on the class participation form, click on the thread, hit reply, and post any questions or concerns you have about material covered in the video. If you have none, then post that you have no questions. You also have a reading comprehension quiz this week, so you'll read these two passages. When you're ready, you'll hit start attempt quiz now. There are the passages again, and then you'll answer. These are short answer questions based upon what you've read, and then you have a bunch of true false. When you're done, you hit finish attempt, and it will come to me and I will grade it. Let's see. Then you also have My Language Labs. You have some SAM activities and some extra practice activities. So if you go out here and you click on the course calendar, and then you click on the 28th. The assignments will pop up in the middle. Open up each one. You can do it as many times as you would like before the assignment's due date, and I will only see the best grade that you receive. I think after 3 tries, it'll give you the right answers, but if you're doing it more than 3 times, I suggest reaching out to me for help. You're also getting ready for your final. So if you open up this workshop, we're going to workshop the essay that's actually on your final exam. So this says we're writing una fábula, okay? So it says use conventions of storytelling. Stories follow certain conventions that are predictable to the reader. Fables and fairy tales often begin with érase una vez, once upon a time, and may end with y así fue, and that's what happened. There may also be an explicit moraleja. Stories often include transitions and contrast with expressions like entonces, de repente, por fin, finalmente. So you're going to write your own fábula siguiendo el modelo de páginas de este capítulo. Recuerda que los personajes son animales y que se debe contener una moraleja explícita o implícita. So this is from Páginas. It says, step into character. When you read a story, try to identify with one of the characters, such as the hero, the trickster, or the target. Analyze the choices that the character makes by asking why the character made this choice. Would you have done the same? Was there an alternative? What was the consequence of this choice? What advice would you give to a character? When you identify with a character, your reading can elicit your writing can elicit an emotional response and help deepen your understanding of the text. So then what you're basically going to do is you're going to write a fable, and I have given you some things to do. So before you write, you are going to want to identify the moral that you're trying to teach, and then I've given you some idioms that might help you with this. You want to identify animals that you can personify this moral that you're trying to teach. Think of like the tortoise and the hare. Okay, something along those lines, or the boy who cried wolf. Like you're writing a story in which the reader is going to learn some sort of lesson at the end of it. And I've given you, I think, a list of some various animals that you might want to use in your story. And then it just tells you as you write, begin your narration with érase una vez. Write 2 or 3 sentences in the imperfect to describe the setting and the people. Write 2 or 3 sentences in the imperfect to explain the problem or the conflict between your people or your characters in your story. write 2 or 3 sentences in the preterite to talk about what happened and what got resolved. And then if there is an explicit moral, right at the end, like summarize it all. Okay. And so here is an example. Érase una vez en la alta sierra de Ecuador vivían una alpaca y un cóndor. So this is setting it up. You're using imperfect, describing the setting and saying what kinds of animals there are, and then you go from there. So just again, think of like tortoise and the hare. What is it? The lion and the mouse. The boy who cried wolf. So think of stories like that you can write, that will teach, that you can write like a quick little story in which you are teaching a moral. And when you're ready, start preparing your submission. You're going to write it. Next week, people are going, like a fellow classmate will look at it as well as I will look at it. So that way you'll have feedback for when you write your final version for your final exam. And that's everything you have to do for